Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're sticking with the Absolute Power tie-ins and we're going to check out Green Arrow issue 14 by Joshua Williamson, Amanke Nahulpan, Sean Isaacs, and Romulo Fajaro Jr. Oliver's betrayal of the superhero community continues as we shift focus slightly over to his family, who learn what's going on from Batman and Nightwing, who fill Roy in on the others on Waller's plans and the Amazos going around the world taking heroes' powers. The family of course want to go and help, but Batman warns them off, wanting them to sit tight since Oliver could be tracking them and waiting for them to make a move. Roy gets to work and figures if Waller has some new Amazos on tap, maybe it's time they paid a visit to their creator, the ever-elusive Professor Ivo, and find a way to beat the villains. Williamson wastes no time setting up the book's ties to Absolute Power and the mission the Arrow family will be going on. It's an important one as well, as we know Waller has been gunning hard for Ivo. She's been looking for him, sending out Peacemaker and Peace Wrecker to look for him, but hasn't been able to find him in a long time, and he hasn't been seen in a long time either, since we last saw him in Wade's World's Finest arc about the new Mazo. Roy reveals to the team that even though they are on an island, they aren't stuck, however, showing them the new and improved Arrow Cave, a vast cavern underneath the island that puts the Batcave to shame. It's in the cave that they are joined by Connor, who has taken up his father's mantle in the wake of Oliver's betrayal. Williamson doesn't mince words here and makes it known that Connor is aware that his father is doing this for a reason, and he didn't let the family go just out of luck. He wants them to gather resources for something. So there's more to Oliver's betrayal than meets the eye, and I'm sure we're going to learn more about it in the pages of Absolute Power. The team use Arrow jets to leave the island and begin their search for Ivo, as Oliver meanwhile meets with Bright, another of Waller's goons who has been around Waller since Dark Crisis, along with several other shadowy villains that looked like they were going to be Waller's main team before we got introduced to the Amazos. However, we actually haven't seen them in some time. They've just kind of been, funnily enough, hiding in the shadows. So props to Williamson for bringing them back, and I like that they brought back Bright here because we know that Bright has some connections to Green Arrow, because Bright is from a different universe and he had connections to his world's Oliver Queen. So I like that they're pairing these characters together. Oliver ends up telling Bright that instead of rounding up weapons like he's been doing, he wants to go after the people who create the weapons, since only then do you stop the weapons from actually being made and distributed. While Oliver definitely is a double agent of some type, I actually like that he's using Waller's resources to try and make the world a better place and actually do some good for a change. Of course, we're going to learn more about why he's exactly doing this, because it's not just to fight off bad guys at the core, since he could do that just as Green Arrow as well. But I like that they are hinting at that is exactly why he's kind of joined up with Waller, and that he is using her considerable resources and power to stab at these evil people from within. The Arrow family meanwhile arrive in Death Valley, where Jade's old contacts have pointed them out to one of Ivo's old labs. As the team descend into the lab, Arrowette also finally tries to confront Connor on the fact that he's become Green Arrow and how Connor feels somewhat responsible for the people around him, but more so now since he believes his father has abandoned him again. Connor of course actually avoids the questions, he's kind of skirting around this whole idea that he has to be Green Arrow again because his father has again kind of let him down, and I like that he's Green Arrow again. I like that didn't really come out of nowhere. It was kind of building up to something like that before this event actually kicked off. And I like that he's Green Arrow again because he was a big part of Morrison's JLA book, which is where I was kind of first introduced to the character way back when, he was part of the team there for a hot minute. And I really like that book, and I like that Williamson looks like he's drawing on stuff from that book in this issue and in this run overall. Eventually, the family find Ivo is holed up in the abandoned lab, and he's looking a little worse for wear. He's very heavily scarred, like some lab accident happened, and he's also using Amazo technology on himself, having used an Amazo arm to craft a giant hand cannon. I find it a little strange that Waller, with all her power and resources, wasn't able to find Ivo, yet the Arrow family with scarce resources found him pretty much almost immediately. Like, the whole story could have been about the family traversing the globe, dealing with Ivo's leftover technology in his wake, dodging Waller's, roving gangs of Task Force 7 soldiers, and eventually catching up with him, only to have Task Force 7 also follow them as well, and that would have been a cool tie-in setup. for the entire story, but that kind of all just happens in this first issue. It's very weird. Ivo reveals that these newer Mesos aren't his creations, since he's been a little preoccupied, revealing that he's been fixing up Tomorrow Woman, which, since we've been talking a bit about Morrison's JLA run in this review, also spawns from that run as well, as she was created as sort of like a Trojan horse that was to join the Justice League and destroy them from within. She was created by Ivo and T.O. Morrow. The android woman attacks the team with her telepathy thanks to her four-lobed robot brain, all because they are trying to disrupt Ivo from helping her, so she sees them as the enemy now. I think that's kind of interesting because she sees this team of heroes preventing her from actually trying to become a hero in this kind of warped sense of heroicism that she has. I love that Williamson isn't shying away from Ivo being a mad scientist either, since when we see him next when he's trying to escape the base when Tomorrow Woman is dealing with the heroes, he's literally driving like a Mad Max car and he's cackling and everything. It's really cool. I really quite like this take on Ivo. However, that's kind of squashed pretty quickly as his car is blown up and he's captured by the arriving Bright and Task Force 7, who I guess kind of followed the Arrow family, exactly what Batman assumed would happen. It's also hinted at in this final page that Jade and Lian will be tailing the villains, or at least, sneaking aboard their ship to like follow them, since they are the only ones who escaped the big battle with Tomorrow Woman. So that could be a lot of fun, seeing the mother and daughter finally teaming up properly, since only last issue Jade was broken back out of prison by Lian and Roy. So it'll be nice to have this sort of mother-daughter time throughout the comic and have them sort of run down some leads on what's going on with Waller and her mission. Williamson's portion of Absolute Powers tie-ins was filled with some really great action and intrigue. I liked the shift of focus to the Arrow family and the fallout of Oliver betraying them in the superhero community and what their mission is during this event, but I would have liked to have seen it focus a little bit more on Oliver, being that his big turn was kind of a big twist and we kind of need to explore that a little bit more, especially because this book has actually been developing that for quite some time, and it seems like quite a swerve to get to that point where it's revealed that he's going to work for Waller, only to then divert to the family and what their reaction is. We should be kind of following in from him a little bit more. Apart from that, I loved the book borrowed heavily from early issues of Grant Morrison's JLA run, with Connor taking back over the Green Arrow mantle and Tomorrow Woman showing up to be a central villain for the issue, which I'm a huge fan of. I love when any writer references Morrison's JLA run, you get extra marks for me. So I really enjoyed this issue for doing that, as well as it was just a really fun issue with the Arrow family. I'm going to give this issue an 8 out of 10.